Good morning, everybody. May 17th, Monday, start of another week. I just finished doing an online photo shoot for a project emanating from Germany. I will keep you posted on that, but it was kind of fun. Manu, she sent me, who was taking it's her project, just sent me a couple of little samples of what we shot. And it's actually really interesting to be doing photo shoots on Skype. Just the whole texture and the look is really quite different. So I'm real curious to see how this whole thing turns out. Let's see, what do we got here? I'm going to go another complete different direction today. I'm gonna go back and visit an artist who was a kind of a major artist during the 60s, and I was well aware of his music back in the day. The great Barry McGuire. He had one of his most iconic songs was Eve of Destruction, and during the Vietnam War, it was a real, it could be heard on so many different formats at so many different of the protest rallies and things. It was a real iconic song of the period. But I was fortunate enough to get called to do an album with Barry that was called Lighten Up. And we did this in 1975. Now, I started making my copious notes here. And on this one, I just thought there's some information online. So I'm gonna do a little reading about this. But on this project, it was myself and David Kemper playing drums on it. I believe Jim Gordon did some drumming also, but my main memory of this session was Larry Knechtel, who played keyboards on the major bulk of all of this, had a studio. He had moved up to northern Washington State, and we went up to his house where he had a recording studio and did the album there. And so I'm trying to remember, the people that I was up there with, and it was David Kemper and myself and Mike Dacey and Larry Knechtel did the bulk of the recording along with Barry. And Buck Herring engineered and produced the album. Buck was, his wife Annie Herring had the group Second Chapter of Acts, their family Christian group, and who I worked on their albums. And I worked a lot with Buck on many projects, going back to like Helen Reddy and I Am Woman and all kinds of stuff on that. But other people appeared on this, I guess, and when they came back to LA with this, Dean Parks contributed to it, and Jim Gordon, and I think Michael Omardian might have done something on this album. But it was interesting when we were up there because I hadn't been up there in that area before, and I remember the first time we were all staying there. I remember the first time I came out of the house and there were slugs, black slugs about this big, covering everything. I mean, it was like some kind of a weird science fiction movie. And I remember when we arrived up there, Larry was out haying in his fields out there. Here's one of the greatest musicians, keyboard players, bass, everything out there with so much history, and there he is out there humping hay bales and stuff, and he's just going, "Oh, I haven't played in a while, hope I'm okay." And then of course he's unbelievable when we get in the studio. And we ended up going out at one point to like a local bar just to hang, just to blow off some steam. And we're sitting there playing pool, and some guy comes up to me and he goes, "Did you ever have your hair cut with a chainsaw?" And I looked at him, I went, "No, I don't recall that. Don't intend to start now." And Larry reached over, handed me a pool cue, and said, "If anything starts, just start hitting them as hard as you can." I mean, we just said, "Let's get out of here. Let's get back to the house." And one of the other things I remember was Buck was trying to conserve tape, because we were cutting to tape in those days, and he was trying to conserve tape, and so we were recording a song, then we would move on to the next song, then the next song, trying to get it all on like one reel of tape or two reels of tape. And I remember at one point we had finished a couple of songs, and all of a sudden Buck was a big dude. He was like a wall of a man. and all of a sudden he's flying across the room into the control room. And as he gets there, we look in and we see the tape just spinning off the end of the reel, and he had just erased in trying to conserve things. He was trying to clean things up and then got distracted and ended up erasing the 2 tunes we had done to start the date, and we had to recut those again. It was just, it was like guerrilla recording in there. It was just so much fun and so crazy. And also, it was great. Yesterday, I talked about Jimmy Bowen and how much I always, loved working with Jimmy, and how much I owed to him in terms of the opportunity to go to Nashville and all that. And yesterday afternoon, I kind of went, oh, the hell with it. I tracked down, found what I found out to be a current phone number for Jimmy, and called him, and we talked for about 45 minutes. I had not talked to Jimmy since we did the last Merle Haggard album that we did together. So it was great. We caught up on a bunch of things, and he lives in Colorado, north of Denver now. And he's pretty much retired from everything. He just plays golf and enjoying his life. And but we talked about a whole bunch of things, and I sent him our EP from the band, and he's in my book, so I'm mailing him a copy of the book today. I just want him to have it, and he's tickled. So that was really great to talk to him. But getting back, I'm going to read a little bit here about Barry McGuire. So Barry he's originally from Oklahoma, but his family moved to Los Angeles when he was a youngster, born in 1935. He formed a duo with an artist named Barry Kane, who apparently passed back in 2013, and they called the band Barry and Barry. They performed original folk songs at the Ice House, a small folk club in Pasadena, where I live, and I was well aware of it. Went to the Ice House many times, and then they moved on to the Troubadour. Been there, done that. They joined the New Christy Minstrels in '62, and Barry did lead vocals on a lot of things that they did. They had a novelty song called Three Wheels on My Wagon. He did that. But they also continued to perform as the duo. And but they had this, it said they did their first and only album, Barry and Barry, called Here and Now, which contained all these different songs. But one of the songs was If I Had a Hammer. 3 months later, it was released by Peter, Paul, and Mary after Barry and Barry did it. In '63, McGuire, along with Randy Sparks, the founder of the New Christy Minstrels, co-wrote and sang lead on the Christys' first and biggest hit, Green Green. He left the Christys in January of '65 after recording an album, Cowboys and Indians. And in '65, the album, he sang the title cut. And then he went on to his solo career. As a folk singer in the '60s, he was best known for Eve of Destruction. I mean, it was a huge song for anybody that would remember that period. Let's see what we got here. Eve of Destruction peaked at number 37 on the Billboard 200 during the end of summer of '65. McGuire was never able to break into the top 40 after that. Knocked out by Help by the Beatles. Okay, not a bad thing to be knocked out by the Beatles. Let's see what we got here. Barry appeared in 1960 movie The President's Analyst with James Coburn. He was quite a character, he became a born-again Christian in '71 after a brief encounter with evangelist Arthur Blessett. He joined the Myrrh label, MYRRH. I've done a lot of work for those people over the years. And I'm sorry, it said he released an album called Seeds. Jesus. It says that this album is also notable for the backing vocals provided by the family trio that would become known as the Second Chapter of Acts. In '74, McGuire released a second album, Jesus Music album, Lighten Up, which is this, which included a remake of Eve of Destruction. Yeah, Eve of Destruction is on this. I was almost going to play it, but I figured that's something that people can go ahead and dig up and see for themselves. In '76, he left Myrrh joining former executive Billy Ray Hearn's new label, Sparrow Records. He recorded 7 albums on Sparrow. Yeah, I worked with Billy Ray Hearn because when we did Andy Griffith's albums, he did those for Sparrow. I did a lot of records for Sparrow, and Billy Ray was actually hanging out at those sessions. I think he liked to be around Andy. Let's see if there's anything else here. Later life, what do we got here? 2013 appeared. Oh, in 2013, McGuire appeared in the documentary film The Bird Who Flew Alone, produced by the Four Sons Productions. The film was about Gene Clark, one of the original Birds, who was a friend of Barry McGuire's for many years. And that is a great documentary film. I saw it. I was so fortunate to work with Gene Clark. I have a video earlier about one of the most iconic underground records ever. And it's amazing. It's an amazing one. And I went to see the kind of the premiere of that movie, The Bird Who Flew Alone. And it's really amazing. And a while back, I did a song for Gene's son. So, I mean, all these things become so interrelated. It's really remarkable. So there's lots of information about Barry. I mean, it's really something. But it's just interesting how all these things, as time goes on, you sort of find yourself getting involved in projects that have so many connections and other things. It's like this great big web that just goes out, and somebody's here and somebody's here, and this situation's here and this one, and that all eventually comes together into a project. And I find it just fascinating. It never ceases to amaze me how this whole thing works. So I thought I'd just play a couple of songs from this album, and it is Lighten Up is the title of the album, and from 1975. And this song is called When the Mists Have Rolled Away. I'm going to see if there's any more goodies on this one. Nope, I don't think so. Here we go.
When the mist is rolled in splendor from the beauty of the hills, and the sunlight falls in gladness on the rivers and the rills, we recall our Father's promise in the rainbow of the spray. We shall know each other better when the mist has rolled away. We shall know as we are known, are we never more to walk alone in the dawning of the morning on that bright and happy day. We shall know each other better when the mist has rolled away. Now we're free from all the sorrow of a sickly, saddened heart, and we'll forever be together even though we're far apart. And as the shadows bind the darkness, so the sun shall free the day. When the shadows have departed and the mist has rolled away, we shall know as we are known, are we never more to walk alone in the dawning of the morning on that bright and happy day. We shall know each other better when the mist has rolled away. Now we're full of joy and gladness as we gather around the throne, face to face with those that love us. We shall know as we are known, and the song of our redemption shall resound through endless days. When the shadows have departed and the mist is rolled away, we shall know as we are known, are never more to walk alone
You know, I still see us sitting in Larry's studio, cutting in there. It was really, it was neat to get out of town and go to another place altogether to record, and done that many times since. But that was pretty early on. Most of all the work I'd done at that point was either in Los Angeles or on Martha's Vineyard, you know, working with James at his house when we did some remote recording there. But it was, let's see what we got here. Here's another one. This is called Pay the Piper. So let's see, check this one out.
You really got a lot of big breaks and we're right to the top. I guess you thought your good times was never gonna stop. But for every song you sang and every tune you played, well, did you know someday you're gonna have to pay the piper? Everybody's saying you put on quite a show. I hear your music playing most everywhere I go. But for every song you sang and every tune you played, well, did you know someday you're gonna have to pay the piper? Trick it to be sure to catch their ear. A melody with a harmony the world will often hear. But you better think twice about the price. You know someday you're gonna have to pay the piper.
Larry Neckdal.
Everybody's going home. Well, some are gonna go with Jesus and some are gonna go alone. Yes, and for every song you sang and every scene you blown, well, did you know someday you're gonna have to pay the piper? You're gonna pay the piper.
Yeah. That's basically true about pretty much everything. So here's, I'm looking at another list here of people involved on this. Yeah, so the solo, that was Larry Neckdal on that. Kemper. Yeah, there's a bunch of different people listed, but I think they did a couple of other songs that we weren't involved with. They cut them different because it looked like Joe Osborne played on this and Jim Gordon. So there's a couple of tracks. When I looked at a track listings, I think there's two or three tracks on here that we weren't involved with. They probably cut back in L.A. or something like that. Ben Benet played on it and Michael Omardian. So, but the stuff I'm playing is all the stuff that we cut up there at the place at Larry's studio. I'm just double checking. We got one more song here. I'm going to do this one. This is called Lighten Up. Oh, no, that's the album. No, that's sorry. The way they've got this all written out is crazy on here. This is called "Hey World." It says "Lighten Up, Hey World," but the album title is "Lighten Up." Okay, let's listen to another song, and then I'm going to get out of your way. Hold on just a sec.
Nighttime is a running for daytime is coming with the sunshine to show everyone. All you shadows take a warning, 'cause here comes the morning, and we've been reborn in the sun. I said, hey. Well, it's time for the morning to come. Hey, you know the darkness will die in the dawn. Sunbeam golden, glorious morning fills the sky. Golden children of the morning, soon to fly to the sun. He's the one we've been waiting for. Don't you know we're gonna go where we've never been before? Well, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Well, here's the sunshine, 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 sunshine. And a million years after, we'll still hear the laughter, 'cause it's only one single day. While the bells will be ringing and the children be singing, in the light of the sun come to stay. In the light of the sun come to stay. Hey, yeah, the shadows are soon to be gone. Why look up, 'cause here comes the sun. Wake up, the night time is gone. Get up and welcome the sun. Here comes the sun.
That's a fade. That's great. Well, there's one more tune here. I'll just play this one. I'll play out on this one. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to just wish everybody a fabulous week ahead. Wishing you just be safe, take care of yourselves, take care of your family and friends. As I say, things are improving, but we're not there by any means yet. And there's nothing that would be better than to have the world open up to us again. So just do what you can to make that happen. And most of that revolves around being smart. So take good care. My heart's out to everybody in there working those healthcare system, the post office, the cops, the firemen, the grocery workers, everybody who's in public. It's pretty critical to pay respect to them because they're doing it. They're doing it. So this is the last song here. This is called "How Many Times." Again, this is Barry McGuire on his Lighten Up album from 1975 that we cut up at Larry Knechtel's studio in upstate Washington with the giant black slugs and the people that wanted to cut my hair with a chainsaw. So check it out, and also it's worth checking out. If you get into any of these and you start seeing the names of people like Dean Parks and Jim Gordon and David Kemper and Larry Knechtel and Mike Dacey and Michael O'Marty and Buck Herring, all the people involved in these, it's worth also looking up their bios. It's not always just about the artist. The support team is a remarkable bunch of people. So I think it's well worth seeing what their lives are all about, because they've been on tons and tons of the music of our lives, and I find it fascinating. So here's a song called How Many Times, and I'll see how it's going, and maybe I'll just fade this one out, kind of like a professional gig, like a real movie kind of thing. Ooh.
Saw 'em on the sidewalk, New York City street, lying in the morning rain. Saw 'em stumbling through the dust of an Arizona parking lot, mumbling something about pain. Walking down a jungle road, fire falling from the sky, left him hanging on a tree. Lord, he never done nothing wrong. How many times we gonna make him die? Times we're gonna make him die. How many times we're gonna make him die?
Mike Dacey.
Think about
Barry McGuire. I'm out of here. I'll see you all tomorrow. See y'all tomorrow, and have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.